Okay, anybody for Adam's rib?
Yeah, I heard that.
Haven't heard that one for a while? Okay, I'll start out with Adam's rib. Okay? So on the seventh day of creation, God made man, and he put him in this beautiful place called the Garden of Eden. And it was warm in the day, the beautiful sun, and when it rained, it cooled man and quenched his thirst. And God made plants to have man enjoy and to give him sustenance. And God made animals to sacrifice themselves to build man's muscles. And man was happy. He lived in the Garden of Eden, and one time the Lord came down to check again to make sure Adam was enjoying himself. And Adam actually came up with a new word called loneliness. He said, Lord, I appreciate all you've given me, but I have to tell you that I've become lonely. Is there anything you can do for me? And God smiled at him, yes, there is. He said, I can make woman. Adam said, woman? What is that? God said, well, let me tell you. She is a very comely being, made like you, but also very different. She's very curvy and pleasing. Yes, you like that, okay. She will love you above all others. She'll do whatever you ask. She'll cook and clean. She'll tell you constantly how smart you are. She'll shelter you when you have cold and bad weather. And her life will be based upon your happiness. Adam said, well, Lord, this is sounding pretty good. What will you ask of me? The Lord said, Adam, for such a great gift, I'll ask for your right arm. Adam reacted in horror. No, Lord, I can't do that. After some careful thought and consideration, he said, Lord, what can I get for a rib? And all men in the room know the answer to that one. Okay. After that, I have to do 2 jokes for the ladies. What's the fastest way to a man's heart? Through the rib cage with a sharp knife.
Oh, for crying out loud.
What's the difference between a man and a government bond? Bonds mature. Okay. We have 3 choices left. I heard Shetland Islands. Well, there's this young man who decided he wanted to get away from all and have his own quiet and solitude. So he moved to the Shetland Islands. He found a small stone cottage way off by itself with nothing around it for miles. And he was there for 3 months, very quiet. And one night there was a terrific storm. The wind howled, the rain came down in sheets blown sideways by the wind. So the young man lit a fire to keep himself warm. And suddenly he heard a pounding on his door. He was quite surprised, but he went and answered it. And there was this big burly guy with a thick matted beard, long straggly hair dripping from the wind, and this dirty, awful smelling wool sweater. And it wasn't just from being wet. Suddenly the man said, Jim, are you? Man, I'm here to invite you, or to welcome you to the Shetland Islands. In fact, I'm here to invite you to a Shetland party. The young man said, well, he says, thank you. He said, I've been here for months. I haven't seen anyone. He said, that sounds kind of nice. He said, well, I have to warn you, there's going to be drinking. They're always drinking at a Shetland party. The young man said, well, he said, that's okay. I'd like to sample the local spirits. He said, that sounds great. He said, well, I have to tell you and warn you that there's always dancing. There's dancing at a Shetland party. And the young man said, well, he said, actually, I've had a few dancing lessons, and I've come to enjoy it, and I can't wait to learn the local steps. He said, well, that's good, he said, but there's going to be fighting. There's always fighting at a Shetland party. And the young man said, well, he said, I may not look like it, but I actually did a little boxing in college, and if, something happens, I can take care of myself. That's all right. The man said, well, there's going to be sex. There's always sex at a Shetland party. And the young man said, well, he said, it's a little quick. But he said, I haven't seen a girl in 3 months, and I wouldn't mind meeting a few here on the island. And he said, well, that's okay. And then the young man said, what should I wear at the party? He said, well, just come as you are. It's going to be the 2 of us. Jackie, I've told that every year.
I know.
Okay, John said I could do 3, so your choice now is light bulb, joke, or chihuahua. Who wants light bulb?
Chihuahua.
Chihuahua.
Chihuahua, okay. I like light bulb, okay, chihuahua. So these 2 men were out walking their dogs together, and it was a really hot day. And they walked a long time, and they were getting very thirsty. Now they passed the fountain in a park, and the dogs were able to take a drink. But the men were getting quite parched. As they walked along, they noticed there was a tavern right across the street. And together, at one time, they said, oh, boy, I could go for a cold beer. And they kind of laughed because they both came up with the same idea at the same time. So they walked over, and the one fellow said, boy, I sure like to go in for that beer. He said, why don't we just leave our dogs tied up outside here and go in and get something? And the other fellow said, you know, I can't do that. He said, I feel really guilty tying up my dog, especially with the heat today. And the other guy said, he said, that's okay. He said, watch this. And he put on this pair of dark sunglasses, and he took his dog and pulled it up kind of close next to him, and he walked in, and he sat down and kind of felt for the edge of the bar and says, I want a beer. And the bartender served him, and everything was fine. And the other guy looking in the window, he saw him, and his friend even ordered a second beer. And he thought, well, he said, if he did it, I can do this too. So he put on a pair of dark sunglasses and pulled his dog up next to him and went walking into the bar. He didn't get 5 feet, and the bartender said, hey, you can't bring a dog in here. This is a bar. And the guy says, well, it's my seeing eye dog. He said, I can't go anywhere without it. And the bartender laughed. He said, that's not a seeing eye dog. That's a chihuahua. The guy said, they gave me a chihuahua? All right, thank you for laughing. I do appreciate it.